Alright, so today we're here with a brand new video on the channel where we're going to be joining a brand new league called the Draft Jam. So this is a league started by Keegan, someone we played before in something like BBR. He started this league because he wanted to actually take back the power level of the Gen 9 format. So a bunch of the top tiers have been removed completely. A lot of the top tier Terror captains has also not been removed, but like they've been stripped of their Terror captaincy, and it has created kind of a format that Keegan would hope to be closer to what Auras and Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon were, and I think it was an interesting proposition. So I decided to say yes to his invitation when he reached out, and we actually got the third pick, which is a very nice high pick, and with a lot of mons kind of being stripped of the absolute highest tier, it does open up what is essentially the best mon. Now I will say there was probably one mon on the board that was arguably just the best mon bar none, and it also got picked up pick one, and that was Garchomp. I knew I was never going to get Garchomp. I was pretty sure that was going to get taken, but the initial mon that I wanted as my first pick was actually going to be Greninja. I was going to give Greninja a secondary chance. We used it about a year ago in a league, and I kind of like, I didn't love it, but I also didn't hate it. It was one of those where like, I might have to give it another go, and I thought this was going to be the time. Funny enough, pick two, who was Keegan himself, picked up Greninja, and I'm just gonna let you guys know that is the start of what is probably the most sniped I've ever been in a draft. I will tell you now, right here, right now, there is one mon on this entire team that I originally planned to pick up. All the others are secondary or third, or even just mons I came up with on the spot that I wanted to use that wasn't initially in the plans. As I said, Greninja got taken, so we had to take a mon that I haven't used in Gen 9. I wanted to try something new. There was a bunch of mons that I knew were probably more optimally better to pick up. Something like a Tinglu is very strong in this format because you have taken multiple of the mons that are really strong against it. Iron Valiant, Great Tusk, Meowscarada, they're no longer here. So it ups Tinglu's kind of viability a whole lot, and there was a couple other mons, but I actually ended up going with Tornadus Therian. So I took Guava the Tornadus Therian. So as you can see here, our nickname theme is going to be fruits. I tried to lean more to exotic fruits, but some of them are a little bit basic because I didn't want a mon to just be named fruit. Like that's just boring, you know. Yeah, Guava the Tornadus fan. I haven't used Tornadus in Gen 9 at all. I've used it once or twice during Gen 8 when I played on Showdown, and I do enjoy it. And I also think after having used Ho-Oh in our most recent league, the KCDL, I kind of was like, I feel like Tornadus is just going to be Ho-Oh, but weaker, but then have more utilities. It's going to be kind of interesting. Of course, you don't have the Fire Stab, but what you exchange for that is you have stuff like Taunt, you have stuff like Nasty Plot, like you have multiple ways where Tornadus can do stuff that Ho-Oh couldn't, and I think that's kind of what drew me towards it and why I wanted to try it out. Plus, it was basically just at the point where we are at the tail end of Gen 9. It's about picking up stuff that you either haven't used, or it's about picking up stuff that maybe you never really thought about, but now you're gonna try it because why not, you know? And that's kind of where I was with this. Now, when it comes to our second pick, I actually didn't think about this mon at all, and then someone in my front office was like, you should try this mon if you haven't tried it already. And I was like, I have actually tried it, but I haven't tried it in this way, and that is going to be Pitaya the Gouging Fire. So we're going to have Gouging Fire as our secondary pick. I'm going to be blunt with you all now. This is not going to be a Sun team. We have Tornadus, so Tornadus doesn't work super well in Sun just because it makes your Hurricane weaker. Now you could run just Bleak Wind, so in that regard you could run Tornadus in Sun, but we're going to do no Sun, and I'm going to try and do Gouging Fire with no Sun. Last time I picked it up, it was in BBR right after it had come out, like what, 2 years ago, however long it was. And we used it in Sun there, and this is going to be a very different experience. I've seen multiple of my friends be very, very successful with this mon. This can do so much, and I'm actually very excited to use this season. I hope I can get the most out of it, but we'll see. Now, in our first spot, this is kind of where one of the snipes were really big for me. So, as I said, Gouging Fire was not part of my initial plans, but I wasn't mad about Gouging Fire. Like, I could live with that. This third one, I was kind of annoyed. So I really wanted to use Ogerpon Cornerstone. I haven't used Cornerstone at all. And Keegan, once again, somehow sniped it right before me, because I picked Gouging Fire on the way up, and then I was hoping on the way down I could pick Cornerstone. Got taken. So I was like, okay, what do? I wanted a mon with a similar speed tiers and a mon that can do kind of similar things. What are mons that can do the similar things as Ogerpon Cornerstone? Well, the other Ogerpons. So we took Conquest the Ogerpon Teal, which is also going to be our first Terra Captain. This is the only... No, this and the Cornerstone are the only two that were Terra allowed. Now, I was not going to Terra the Cornerstone initially, but this, when I picked it up, I was like, I'm going to make this Terra. I think this is just one of the better Terra Captains that were on the board. It was very cheap with no Terra, but it was a little bit more, of course, a good bit more expensive with Terra. But I think just having that speed control that the Terra gives, because if you Terra Ogerpon Teal, it gets a speed boost, which is very, very nice. Combined with its accessibility of very good support moves in Taunt, Encore, Spikes, Spiky Shield, Lead Seed. This is actually a mon I think I'm going to enjoy a lot. I used it once before and I actually really enjoyed that. It's not that long ago we did it, and I did run like Spiky Shield, Lead Seed for 1 week. I remember that. I think I ran Spikes 1 week too. Like, I actually do think this mon is very versatile, and having that Terra just kind of helps it hit a little bit harder even when you're doing non-offensive sets, which was one part I really like. But also, as I just said, it gives you a very good speed control, getting that +1 speed. You can run Choice Scarf plus this, and you basically have +2 speed, which is insane. Like, you just have the fastest thing around at all times, which is very nice. And generally, if we can find a way to make sure to kill flying types and other monsters resist Ivy Cudgel, this thing with like a band or a life orb or whatever, and just click Terra Grass Ivy Cudgel will kill stuff. I won't lie, in this 4th slot, I absolutely picked up a mon slightly out of panic, slightly for the meme, and slightly because I just needed what it can offer. And there were so many other mons that does what this thing can do that went very fast. And that is gonna be Coconut the Fortress. So yeah, I picked up a Fortress round 4. Yes, I know. So basically what happened was almost all the rabbit spinners got picked up round 3 and 4 on the way up to me again. Like, we're talking Serena was gone, I'm pretty sure Tentacle was gone. The most prominent one that I wanted was Dawnfan was gone. Quackle was gone, but Quackle got picked up like pretty goddamn early. I think it actually got picked up maybe round 1 or round 2, or very early round 2. And the only spinners left were Blastoise, which I'm sorry, I'm not picking up Blastoise again. Fucking no. And it was like Fortress and a couple of other of the like low tier spinners. I was like, you know what? Let me just do Fortress. I'm just gonna do it now so it doesn't accidentally get sniped. Not that I thought people were gonna take it around 4, but like if I don't take it now or round 5, I just risk it getting sniped. So I'm just gonna take it. It's also going to be very funny because we're only in round 4, and who picks a round 4 Fortress? So that's partially why you're here. I think it's gonna be mediocre, but you know, it's a Fortress. Next up, we have Papaya, the Lunar Blood Moon. Now, I will say, this was not initially in my plans, but I'm actually so happy I got to pick this thing up. I have not used it yet. I think this is such an amazing mon. I think it looks really cool. I think it's incredibly strong. It gives us a special breaker that our team very thoroughly needed at this point. Like, Tornadus is kind of special breaker, but Tornadus is also more like support pivot. He's not necessarily a breaker or like a cleaner. Like, he's kind of a little bit of everything. And Gouging Fire and Ogerpon are very physically dominant, so we needed something that can hit on the special side so we don't just become Will-O-Wisp fodder and stuff like that. And I think actually our Lunar Blood Moon here fits very well too. It's an of course electric immunity for Tornadus. It actually kind of works very well with Fortress, is what I kind of realized. Like, this plus Fortress plus Gouging Fire kind of cover each other fairly well. Like, Ground is a little bit of an issue because neither of them resist that, but Tornadus and Ogerpon kind of makes up for that. And generally, I'm excited to use this. I'm not 100% sure how well I'm going to do with this, because typically I'm not the biggest fan of like slow bulky mons that are like more on the offensive side, because this thing of course doesn't get Stealth Rock. If it got Stealth Rock, it could be a very good Stealth Rocker, but yeah, in general, it's going to be a mon that I'm going to try and experiment with. Maybe I'll love it, maybe I won't. Now, in our next slot, we actually have our second and last Terra Captain. This mon was not initially supposed to be a Terra Captain, but it ended up being it just because my other Terra Captain that I wanted, which I will just reveal was Raikou, got sniped. Raikou got sniped in like this round. So that really bothered me because I didn't think anyone was going to pick Raikou, but alas. So I ended up picking this mon, which is Blueberry the Manaphy. Now, Manaphy was the one mon I wanted going into the draft. I've been wanting to use Manaphy for a little bit just because I think it can offer a lot. I think having base 100 across the board makes it a really good bulky water. It makes it a really good setup water type. It has different utility as well under its belt. And now, because we have made it a Terra Captain, you can find different situations where you can just Terra into the correct type, get up either a Tail Glow or Coal Mine, whatever, and just go off. I think Manaphy actually does provide us more versatility when as a Terra Captain than Raikou would have done, but I liked Raikou just because of its speed. The access to just having Bolt Beam at all times would be very nice. And while Manaphy is a little bit of a slower mon, both in terms of actual speed, but also like you do need the setup for Manaphy to truly do something. Like just base Manaphy is not going to hit hard enough. Raikou has a little bit better special attack in that regard. I do think Manaphy is probably overall an upgrade on Raikou as a Terra Captain. Now, after picking up our Manaphy, I'm gonna be so real. The rest of this team is so weird. Most of these mons, well, not most of them, all of them were mons I weren't originally gonna pick up, but even amongst like not thinking about it, these were literally mons I picked up on the spot. So in our next spot, we actually have Durian the Overquill. So Overquill is interesting, right? I like Overquill. I've used it once before. I think part of me picked up Overquill just because it fit a lot of the what I needed on the team. Like I needed a dark type, I needed a poison type. I wanted a secondary spike. Well, I guess technically it's a third spiker because both Ogerpon and Fortress have spikes. But I wanted one that can kind of take the pressure off Fortress because I also don't want to force spikes onto something like Ogerpon. And this also just fits the role of kind of having this median between being kind of good and bulky support while also being able to go offensive with sword stance sets. You have access to, of course, T-spikes, which is very nice. You get haze, you get, I believe it does get taunt too. So our team is very good at like making sure that no mon is gonna kind of, it's not gonna like waterfall. Like once a mon gets going, it's not just gonna automatically just win. We have multiple mons that can get either haze or roar or taunt and make sure that we kind of can keep our opponent a little bit in check. And I think Overquill does serve a very good role here. I think mostly I just picked it up because like partially the typing, I'm gonna be so real with y'all. There was no other dark types I was super interested in. The main dark type I was actually thinking about picking up was gonna be Urshifu Single Strike, but it got picked up. I believe it was this round, maybe the round before, something like that. So I ended up just going Overquill because it felt like a kind of a good safe pick. And speaking of safe picks, this next one is going to be interesting because we're going to double up on poison types. We're picking up Lychee the Weezingala. So Weezingala is actually a mon I've been like kind of wanting to reuse again. I think I have used it maybe once in Gen 9. I'm not 100% sure. But I think it's one of those mons that is underrated a little bit by people just because I think the typing is very good. I think Poison Fairy is actually very good. It's a very good mon into specific other mons, and also it's very good into a specific mon on this board, which was Garchomp. Garchomp is probably the best mon on this board, kind of arguably, and Galarian Weezing is one of the best answers to that Garchomp, being immune to Earthquake with the Levitate ability and being immune to Scale Shot with his Fairy typing. Just makes it an automatically very good strong mon into it. Now Garchomp does tend to be able to run to different stuff to kind of get around it, plus the surrounding team to Garchomp can of course help with that. But I also just want a mon that is very good with Rocky Helmet, and that's what this thing is. I have come to really like having mons that are just that screams Rugged Helmet, because it's a good way to either force your opponent to run something like Protective Pass, and then if you're not Helmet, they're just running it for no reason, or if they're not running it, you actually get to punish your opponent if you have a Rugged Helmet. And Weezing was one of those mons that are really good at that. Plus, being able to just straight up resist 4 times versus fighting types is always nice. Now, it's not like we were super weak to fightings with like Tornadus and stuff like that, so that's fine. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to use Galarian Weezing, and so that's why I picked it up. Next up, we have Rambutan, the Azelf, which is also an interesting pick. So I actually picked up this because we lost the speed with Raikou. I wanted something else that was like a little bit slower than Tornadus, but faster than... Faster than Ogerpon wasn't like a requirement, but something along the same kind of speed, just because there's going to be a lot of times where Ogerpon is actually going to have the +1 speed because of its Terra. So having another mon that can kind of cover a similar speed tier is very nice, meaning our opponent can't necessarily run an advantageous nature against us, because we still have a mon that can kind of scale a little bit there. Plus, it was between Azelf and Mew got picked up, so I went Azelf instead. It's a bit more offensive than Mew. It does offer less on the supportive side, but you still get access to Taunt, you still get access to Stealth Rock. You can run stuff like Explosion, still have U-Turn, can run strong offensive Psychic moves while also still having very good coverage. So I do think Azelf is going to be very good. I don't think it's going to come to as many games as Mew probably would have had, because Mew is like a mon you can bring to pretty much any game and you can figure out what it can do. Well, Azelf definitely has some games where it's just not going to be that good, but I think it's going to be an interesting mon. Now, coming to our last mon, I'm gonna be so real with y'all. I had so many points left, and I was not the only one. Pretty much everyone had too many points left that we kind of just picked stuff. I ended up picking what was the highest point tiered mon left, which also should tell you with how barren the board was starting to look like. And that is gonna be the Cobalion. So, acai. I actually don't know how to pronounce this because I believe it's called an acai bowl, right? Like the thing you can eat. But is it not a Kai fruit? I actually don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. I actually don't know. But yeah, I ended up picking up Cobalion because there was a lot of talks in the Discord as we were picking about how good Cobalion actually was in Gen 9. And I've always been kind of a Cobalion hater, is a bit much, but negative. Like I have never been a big fan of Cobalion just because I felt like he never really did a whole lot. But as it was pointed out, getting access to Iron Defense Body Press is very strong. He's a fast taunt user. He's another Stealth Rock user, which is very nice because our team was actually lacking more so Stealth Rocks than they were lacking Spikes, which is an odd thing to sometimes have, but kind of nice at the same time. But now we have very solid Stealth Rockers and very solid Spikers, which I'm very happy about because if anyone watched my KCDL run, you know that I was missing having just almost any hazards at all. So I think Cobalion is going to be interesting. I do think though, if we are ever going to make changes, this could be the guy that will be on the sacrificial board. He could have done nothing wrong. He can have had an amazingly good game and still gonna be the sacrificial piece just because I need the points, right? Like, he is the most expensive that I just didn't think about picking up. And when I say most expensive, it's not like he cost a fortune. I think he was like 11 points, 12 points maybe, something like that. So it's not like he was super expensive. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna try out Cobalion. He's also Quinn, one of my very good friends, one of his favorite mon, or at least the mascot for his draft team. So, you know, maybe Quinn will help me out then. That is gonna be a team for the draft jam. It's an interesting team. I actually think the team is like better than I think it's better than what it initially looked like on the surface. I do think it has a lot of things going for it. It has breakers, it has good setup mods, it has good support, it has a ton of hazards, which is something I'm very happy about. I also think it has kind of different ways of winning. Like, it's not just like, oh, let me Dragon Dance and win or stuff like that. Like, there's more bulky win cons that are more... There's also like, we can kind of just win a long game. Like, if a game goes long, we have a Generator of Taunt, we have stuff like Gouging Fire, which is very difficult to kill and generally, and just overall, there's a lot of things this team does very well. I will say there's a few things this team probably is going to do very badly too. Like, I don't have access to Healing Wish at all, which is a little bit unfortunate since Healing Wish has become like a really strong move. But I also don't run Healing Wish as much as I probably should, so maybe that's not that bad. But yeah, as always, if you like the video, make sure to leave a like on the video, leave a comment over the team below, not the team below, sorry, but the draft analysis or whatever you want to call it. Let me yap for 20 minutes real quick, even though I'm probably gonna cut it down a little bit. And I hope you'll watch the games. They'll be going up starting next week. Peace, YouTube.